folks, Dan the Toon Keeper here, and welcome to another episode of Toon Chest. So today we are going to be covering a cartoon from a very prestigious studio called UPA, aka United Productions of America. So you're probably asking yourself, what prestigious concepts did UPA prestigiously introduce into the animation industry? Well, for one, they prestigiously introduced the concept of applying the modern flat art style into animation. No studio has done that before. Also, UPA was the first studio to have a main character that is human lead its output. Again, absolutely no studio has ever done that before. But the most uncharted of all territories that UPA was so brave in exploring, creating short animated films without wacky slapstick hijinks. Absolutely no studio has ever done that before, right? Right? Okay, I've got to level with you folks, as if my sarcasm didn't give it away. I am not a UPA fan, especially for the output after John Hubley was red scared out of the studio. Having said that, I do acknowledge the place that UPA had within the animation industry. Yes, UPA was not the very first studio to work with a flat, simple style, but this was the studio that explored this more thoroughly than any other studio prior, and in turn, fully reinforced that sticking to the long-established Disney-like realism of style and character design is not necessary, even discouraged depending on the story told. As a result, UPA stood out tremendously and was an influence for other Golden Age studios to take many cues from in the mid-50s onwards, for the better or worse. Now, to emphasize another specialty of UPA, you'll notice, aside from the more or less consistent Mr. Magoo shorts, that even every short within its own studio looks vastly different from each other. That, needless to say, contrasts with other animation studios at the time, where there was more or less an established house style of sorts that the cartoons had to adhere to. To put this in another way, if you were to compare, say, Rudy Toot Toot, Gerald McBoing Boing, what else? Christopher Crumpet, and Fudget's Budget. Yeah, I had to dig deep to find good UPA cartoons, but more on that shortly. If you were to compare those four shorts together, yeah, you could definitely tell that they differed quite vastly in style next to each other. And that was one of the biggest high points of UPA, is just reinforcing the aspect that animation is a medium where you can tell a story any way that you feel is fitting. You don't have to adhere to one style, which is why UPA was essentially created in the first place, because Zach Schwartz, David Hilberman, and Steve Bosostow, if I pronounced that last name correctly, they wanted to get away from the Disney style of doing things. And it was a commendable goal at the start, and one that I would cheer for. It's just too damn bad that the studio just became pretentious beyond all belief in the later years, especially. So I'm of the opinion that the best era of UPA was when John Hubley was still running the ship. So in the context of the cartoons that I am covering here on Toon Chest, from Robin Hoodlum up until Rudy Toot Toot, I believe that was the very last short that John Hubley was involved in. But yes, that era of UPA shorts was pretty solid, save for a few exceptions, but in general, I got what UPA at that point in time was trying to do for the animation industry in general with the cartoons during that time. Substance has not taken a backseat to style. There was still an importance in, well, storytelling in general. Unfortunately, as soon as John Hubley was red scared from UPA, that became reversed. Style just took over substance again and again and again and again until, well, basically Columbia ended the distribution deal. As if that wasn't bad enough, there was a sense of snobbery that just persisted of UPA. Both among the critics and even within the studio too. I'm just going to leave a quote from Bill Scott, who worked at UPA for a brief period. In his response to Jim Korkis's question, was writing at UPA different from writing at Warner Brothers? This is Bill Scott's response. Yeah, read it and, well, take that as you will, I guess. And surprise, surprise, out of the 3 shorts that UPA won the Oscars for, 2 of them were from the post-Hubley period. So, yeah, what a shock that Hollywood is rewarding mediocrity, right? So I think everyone here knows about Gerald McBoing Boing's 1950 Oscar win. And for good reason. It was a great short. Albeit not in a way that was so funny to the point of having to leave the theater room for a bit. But it's true that Gerald's win did send out shockwaves. As for the other 2 shorts that UPA won, there was in 1954 When Magoo Flew, and in 1956, with another Mr. Magoo short, Mr. Magoo's Puddle Jumper. Here's where it gets really stupid, folks. Are you ready? There were 3 nominated shorts for the 1956 Oscar year. Magoo's Puddle Jumper included, needless to say, and they were all UPA shorts, something that not even Disney was able to do in the 30s for any Oscar year. I don't know what the hell went into this particular Oscar year to stop at 3 nominees that are all UPA shorts. I might as well go into the other 2 shorts that were actually nominated from UPA. So the other 2 shorts in 1956 that were nominated was Gerald McBoing Boing on the Planet Moo. Yeah, as you could tell, Gerald McBoing Boing's success in 1950 meant that there were going to be sequels to the short. Yeah, so I think that tells you everything that you need to know. And then the third nominee for the 1956 Oscar happens to be the cartoon that I randomly selected. The Jaywalker, being the third nominated short in the 1956 Oscar, is what we're going to be covering today. So I think I've talked my head off on everything UPA related that I can think of at the moment, so let's... Alright, after much talking on my end, let's finally watch the Jaywalker right now. Stop. Go! Go, go, go! Finish the cartoon fast so I can watch some Looney Tunes. Yeah, jokes aside, I mean, as I mentioned before, again and again, stylization obviously took precedence over substance, so naturally that means we're gonna still get good design work, or interesting design work at least, no matter what UPA cartoon you're watching. But for the post-Hubley shorts, what's the real question is whether or not the cartoon will have anything beyond that. Which, of course, for post-Hubley cartoons is a wild card that usually doesn't favor my odds in enjoying said cartoons.
I have a confession to make. I'm a jaywalker.
Well, try telling that to an insurance agent. Not that this guy would seemingly give a shit anyway.
Suddenly, I realized what I'd done. The blood raced through my veins.
Oh, you better get that checked out. That doesn't look like normal blood at all.
I was a bad pedestrian.
Oh, no shit you are. You became lost, so your first instinct is to go in the middle of the road and... Wow.
My work suffered. I quit my job.
This guy's insane and stupid. But at least he's gonna retire well with that money. I mean, this is 1950s after all. Inflation hasn't hit us that hard yet. This guy thinks the world revolves around him. I mean, I know everyone's guilty of jaywalking at one point or another. Especially, I mean, depending on the location. I mean, in New York City, a lot of people jaywalk. But this guy is just a... He's a menace, and I don't... It's a word that's not to be used lightly. This guy is willing to put other people's lives in danger just to fulfill his own rush.
That my willpower was stronger than theirs. Then I gave a little hop, which showed the driver I was confident of his skill to stop.
I was confident. I mean, never mind that I almost put your life in danger and almost killed the living hell out of you.
And wave at him. This would clearly indicate to him that although he was in the driver's seat, I had the upper hand.
Yeah, this particular jaywalker is, he's a manipulative asshole. He's a psychopath. He's everything, every worst adjective that you can even describe a person.
I found it paid to change my strategy. Confusing him by acting confused myself.
I know I'm gonna be saying the same thing again and again, but he's basically trying to invent new ways to put people's lives in danger.
A little chuckle
for destroying a very vital piece of my car and almost killing me.
If one appeared to be completely oblivious to one's surroundings, the most persistent iron-willed driver would weaken.
Well, I mean, you're walking where you're not supposed to be walking, so, I mean, those drivers aren't at blame.
He rated me, shamed me, and scolded me, and fined me too.
I mean, that's going pretty light on this guy.
To help solve my problem. He advocated going with the crowd.
I don't suggest that. I suggest locking him up like Hannibal Lecter in some underground prison. He's a literal murderer, and I don't use that term lightly. Although I do like the music, I'll give the short that. The music is kind of nice. If this whole short was about this Jaywalker trying to get an insurance payout of sorts and having to do all this, I think, I mean, it's still shitty, but at least there's a bit more stake in it, or how do I put this? There's a little bit more relatability, so to speak. I mean, again, there's no relatability to everything he's doing, but I mean, making the reason like he's trying to get an insurance payout of sorts by being hit by somebody, I think adding some degree of relatability would have helped this cartoon, I think. And yeah, that guy absolutely deserved to die. Holy shit. Okay, so that, folks, was the Jaywalker, and first, I will admit, out of the three UPA shorts that got nominated in 1956, I'd say the Jaywalker was the best of the three, but that is not saying much, because, yeah, this was stupid, and, I mean, not necessarily funny. At least he died at the end, as he deserved to after all those attempted murders of everyone else, essentially, by trying to keep the drivers on their toes by illegally walking wherever the hell he wants. I think this is a long-winded way of me saying that this cartoon isn't good. In fact, I would give the Jaywalker a C. So yeah, it's meh. It's, I mean, not the worst that UPA had to offer. I was just waiting for that Jaywalker to die. And, I mean, to also add to this, okay, I mean, obviously UPA shorts in general wasn't funny, but it's so weird that the short looks like it's a funny short, but it isn't actually funny beyond that stupid premise. Yeah, that's all I could say. It's just another meh UPA cartoon from the later period, and I think one of the very last one-shots, I believe, before they oh no, yeah, I'm not looking forward to covering the Ham and Hattie shorts at UPA. Oof, those are bad. But anyway, I guess, I mean, there's a reason I tell everyone who comes to my house, watch out for dumb people, because you'll come across idiots like that Jaywalker. So, with that said, see ya, folks, and watch out for dumb people.